Hey guys, and welcome to the College CEO Podcast.
Let's dive right in.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. I want to start today by, talking directly to a very specific version of our listener. I'm picturing this student who is ambitious.
Maybe a little too ambitious.
Right, exactly. A little too ambitious for their own good.
Yeah.
You're the type who sits in a lecture hall looking at a syllabus that honestly hasn't changed since like 2014, and you just think, I could teach this better.
Oh, totally. Or you're just tired of that whole broke college student aesthetic.
Yeah, the one everyone just sort of accepts as normal.
Right. And you've got this notes app that's just full of startup ideas, side hustles, passion projects.
But when it comes time to actually start...
Date it freeze, yeah. It's the classic cursor blinking on a blank page syndrome.
It really is.
You're standing on the edge of the high dive, you see the water, you know how to swim, but your feet are just completely glued to the board.
And usually, the narrative we tell ourselves is that we're frozen because we lack resources. We tell ourselves, I need a diploma first,
right,
or I need a technical co-founder.
Or I need some 40-page business plan to show a bank before I can sell a single thing.
Exactly. But today, we are going to dismantle that entire belief system. We're doing a deep dive into this incredibly practical source called The Only 3 Things You Need to Start a Digital Business in College.
And it is aggressive in the best way.
It really is. The core promise here is that you don't need the suit, you don't need the VC funding, you just need 3 specific mechanics, and you can theoretically start today.
Right. And the timeline the source suggests isn't, someday or after graduation. It's potentially monetizing within 30 to 90 days.
Which is a bold claim. But we're going to back it up. And actually, to make sure you have a real roadmap for this, we have a free 10-step guide linked right in the description.
Yeah, you're going to want that.
For sure. It breaks down everything we're about to talk about so you can encourage yourself to start your business today. So pause if you need to, grab that guide, and come back.
Okay, so let's get into the meat of this. Why is the old way of thinking about business keeping so many students paralyzed?
I think it comes down to a fundamental misunderstanding of what a business actually is right now in the digital age. Like when you say start a business to a student, what pops into their head?
Oh, usually scenes from The Social Network?
Right. Or Wolf of Wall Street?
Exactly. Boardrooms, guys in suits, venture capital pitch decks, some bank manager scrutinizing a 5-year financial forecast.
And that image is a trap. The source material makes a really crucial distinction here. Those traditional business plans, those 40-page monsters, they aren't written for customers.
No, they're written for lenders.
Right. They are risk minimization documents for people giving you $1 million.
But if you are a student launching a digital side hustle, you aren't trying to convince a bank to loan you $1 million. You are trying to convince a human being to give you $20 for something that actually helps them.
That distinction is huge. We get stuck because we're playing the corporation game.
Yeah.
When we really should be playing the lemonade stand game.
Or the digital lemonade stand game.
Yeah, exactly.
Or actually, more accurately, the science experiment game. Because this is what we call analysis paralysis.
Let's dig into that term. Because, it sounds like a productivity buzzword, but it feels like a physical weight.
Oh, absolutely.
You have an idea, you start researching, you watch a YouTube video, then another one, and suddenly it's 3 a.m. You feel like you worked because you consumed information, but you haven't actually produced anything.
That's the loop. Overthinking plus too many choices equals 0 decisions. But the source highlights a psychological aspect to this that I think is really fascinating, especially for high-achieving students.
Okay.
It's not just about being overwhelmed by tools or platforms. It's about identity protection.
Identity protection? You mean like ego?
Yeah, in a way. Look, if you're a quote-unquote smart kid, you tie your output to your self-worth. You think, if I launch this project and nobody buys it, that means I am a failure.
Oof. Yeah, that is close to home.
Right, so your brain pulls a trick on you. It says, keep planning, because as long as you are in the planning phase, the idea is still perfect.
You haven't failed yet because you haven't started.
Precisely. Procrastination is actually a defense mechanism. It's safer to keep the idea in your head where it's flawless than to put it in the real world where it might suck.
Wow. Okay, so what's the antidote?
According to our source, you shift your mindset from business building to hypothesis testing. This is straight out of the lean startup methodology. You aren't building a company, you're testing a theory.
Build something small, measure what happens, learn from it.
Exactly. The source calls this validated learning over relying on vibes.
Validated learning over vibes. I am putting that on a sticky note.
Yeah.
So to get this validated learning, We strip away the 40-page plan, and the source says we replace it with just 3 elements, the 3 O's.
Offer, order, and outreach.
Let's tackle the first one, the offer. Now, usually in marketing speak, offer sounds like a sleazy sales pitch, like, but wait, there's more.
Yeah, totally.
But how does the source define it for a college student?
It's much quieter than that. The offer is defined as a focused promise. You are solving one specific problem for one specific group of people, and you're delivering the solution digitally.
Just one. Because I feel like the natural instinct is to be the Amazon of everything. Like, I help everyone get organized.
And that is the death knell right there. Everyone is not a customer segment. If you try to save the world, you'll end up with a generic product that literally no one cares about. You need constraints. And there's a rule here that I absolutely love.
Which is?
Useful is greater than pretty.
Oh, explain that.
It means you do not need a logo. You do not need a brand color palette or some professionally designed website. If the solution works, nobody cares if it's an ugly PDF or a rough Google Doc.
Let's look at some examples, because I think this is where people get tripped up. They can't visualize what a simple offer actually looks like.
Let's go through the scenarios from the source. The first one is the exam week rescue pack.
Okay, break that down.
This is a classic painkiller product. Think about the pain of finals week. Panic, lack of sleep, way too much information. So you take a hard class that you've already aced, you create a 2-page cram sheet, just the bare essentials. Maybe write 10 practice questions that mimic the professor's style. You bundle that into a PDF, that is the offer.
So you're not selling tutoring, you're selling sleep, you're selling a lower heart rate.
Exactly, you're selling a specific result. Pass this exam without pulling an all-nighter. That has massive real-world value.
What about the second scenario, the Notion Study OS? Notion is huge right now.
It is, but again, you have to niche down. This scenario targets a niche within a niche. Let's say students with ADHD. A standard planner doesn't work for them. It just becomes another thing to feel guilty about not using.
Right.
So you create a Notion template specifically designed for the ADHD brain. Gamified tasks, dopamine hits, visual tracking. It's not just a planner, it's an external brain.
I love that. And the third scenario is the Canva Career Kit.
This is for the ambitious crowd. Resume templates are a dime a dozen online. But a resume template specifically for a graphic design major, that needs to look completely different than one for an accounting major.
Oh, for sure.
So if you create a design portfolio and resume kit specifically for sophomore design students, you are solving a very sharp, specific pain point that a generic template just can't touch.
Okay, I want to share a story from the source that really drives this home. It's about the lab report girl.
Oh, this is a great one.
So picture this. Sophomore year, organic chemistry is the notorious weed-out class. Everyone is drowning.
A very high-stress environment, the perfect place to find a problem to solve.
Right. And this girl notices that the biggest bottleneck isn't even the chemistry itself. It's the lab reports. The TA is super harsh, the rubric is confusing, and everyone is losing points on formatting.
So does she go hire a web developer? Does she start an LLC?
No. She applies the useful over pretty rule. She makes a lab report starter pack. It's basically a template, an example of a 10 out of 10 write-up, and a checklist that explicitly matches the weird things the TA asks for.
And note what she didn't do. She didn't buy a domain name. She didn't start an Instagram account for it.
She didn't spend weeks designing a logo. She just posted in the class group chat, hey, I made a template that matches the rubric so I stopped losing points. Anyone want it for $5?
She pre-sold it.
Yes. 3 people paid her that night. She sent them a Google Drive link.
And that is a business. It's
Yeah.
micro, yes. But value was exchanged for money. She identified a hair-on-fire problem and poured water on it, using tools she already had.
Speaking of tools, the source mentions Canva, Notion, Google Docs. These are all free. But there is a little legal footnote here we should probably mention before someone gets sued.
Yeah, the expert in me has to flag this. If you are using Canva to create a product you sell, you need to check the licensing terms. If you use pro design elements, like a specific stock photo or a premium font, there are rules about how you can sell that design.
You can't just pass it off as your own.
Right. Often you can't sell a template with pro elements unless the buyer also has a pro account. It's a nuance, but it really matters. Just stick to the free elements to be safe, or read the fine print carefully.
Good catch. Let's not build our empires on copyright violations. Okay, so we have our offer. We solve one problem for one person. Now, how do we actually get the money?
Which brings us to the second O, the order.
This is where most people overcomplicate things, isn't it?
Massively. They think, okay, I have a product, now I need a shopping cart, an add to bag button, a secure checkout page, an automated confirmation email sequence.
But the source says the goal is a checkout process that takes under 60 seconds. Because friction is the enemy.
Friction kills conversion. If I have to create an account, verify my email, and click 5 times just to give you $5, I'm probably just going to close the tab.
So what's the alternative?
The gold standard here, strangely enough, is the DM to payment method.
Walk us through that, because to me, doing business in the DMs feels, I don't know, a little sketchy, like buying a fake watch out of a trench coat.
I know it feels informal, but it's actually how the creator economy runs right now. The flow is simple. You post about the problem, someone DMs you a keyword like send, you reply personally with a link, they click, they pay, they get the file.
So the whole tech stack is literally just a link.
Essentially, yeah. The source recommends 2 main paths here. The first is Stripe payment links.
How does that work for a beginner?
Stripe is basically the backbone of the internet's money. You make a free account, you create a product in their dashboard, say, lab report template, $5. It generates a URL. You send that URL. When they pay, Stripe handles it securely, very clean, no monthly fees, just a small transaction cut.
But there is an age check.
Right. Yes, critical point. Stripe requires you to be 13 or older, but if you are under 18, a legal guardian has to be the account owner. So if you're a 17-year-old freshman, you need to get your parents involved to set this up legally. Don't lie to the bank, they will ban you.
Okay, what if I don't want to deal with Stripe?
Yeah.
Or what if I'm worried about taxes?
Then you look at Gumroad. The source speaks very highly of Gumroad for students because they act as the merchant of record.
Merchant of record. Okay, that sounds like corporate jargon. Can you explain that like I'm 5?
Sure. Imagine you sell your Notion template to a student in Germany. Germany has VAT, value-added tax. Do you know how to file taxes in Germany?
I barely know how to file taxes in my own state.
Exactly. If you sell through Stripe, you are technically the seller, so you are responsible for knowing those international tax laws. If you sell through Gumroad, Gumroad is the seller. They take the money, they calculate the tax, they pay the German government, and then they pay you your share.
That is incredible.
Well, a student, that peace of mind is worth the slightly higher fee they charge.
I would happily pay a few % to not accidentally commit international tax fraud.
Agreed. And if you really feel you need a landing page like a 1-page storefront just to look a bit more pro, the source suggests Card. It's free for basics, very cheap for pro, or the Notion Marketplace if you're strictly selling templates.
I really love the example in the source about the LinkedIn and resume kit.
Oh, yeah.
A junior creates this kit, posts on LinkedIn saying, I'm sharing my system, and simply writes, comment kit, and I'll DM you.
Look at the psychology of that. Comment kit. It boosts the algorithm, more people see the post, and then the actual transaction happens in the DMs where it feels highly personal. It's a very tight, effective loop.
So we have an offer, and we have a frictionless way to take the order. Now comes the part that usually makes people sweat.
Talking to humans.
Yes. The third O, outreach.
Validation. This is where the rubber meets the road. And frankly, this is where most students hide. They go back to planning because talking to real people risks rejection.
The source is pretty harsh here, actually. It says the biggest mistake is trying to validate your idea by reading Reddit threads.
Because reading is passive. Reading is safe. You can read 1,000 threads about how hard organic chemistry is and convince yourself you have $1 million idea. But you don't know if anyone will actually pay for it until you ask. The source quotes Steve Blank here, the father of modern entrepreneurship. Get out of the building.
Which, since we're digital, really means get out of your browser and into the DMs.
Correct. You need real conversations.
But how do you do that without being annoying? I mean, sliding into DMs to sell something is kind of the definition of spam. Like, hey, hun, want to buy my crypto?
Right, definitely don't do that. The strategy here isn't to pitch, it's to investigate. The source outlines this minimum viable validation loop. It starts with being genuinely helpful, not salesy.
So break down the loop. What's step 1?
Step 1, Have 5 to 10 conversations. You can do this in class group chats, discords, or campus clubs. You ask a question about the problem, not your solution. You ask, what is the hardest part of X?
So if I'm targeting that organic chemistry class, I don't say, want to buy my notes. I ask, hey, what is everyone struggling with the most right now?
Exactly. And they will tell you. They'll say, oh, the rubric makes no sense, or I never know how to start the conclusion. You are gathering data. Once you hear the same complaint 3 or 4 times, you know you have a winner.
Okay, and then you move to step 2.
Yeah.
Soft ask.
Yes. You show a 1-sentence offer. Hey, if I made a template that matches the rubric perfectly, would you pay for it?
That's scary to ask. What if they say no?
Then you just saved yourself 3 months of building a product nobody wants. A no is just as valuable as a yes. But if they say yes, oh my God, please, then you move to step 3. You send the payment link, you pre-sell it.
I'm making it this weekend. Here's the link to lock it in.
If they pay, you have a business. If they don't pay, you have feedback. It turns the sales process into a natural conversation about helping them solve a problem they already admitted they have.
It's so much more efficient than the field of dreams approach. Build it and hope they come.
Efficiency is key. You're finding where people already congregate, like pre-med clubs or business fraternities, and you're just listening for the complaints. Because every complaint is a potential business.
Okay, so we've got the theory down. Offer, order, outreach. But I know exactly what the listener's thinking right now. This sounds great, but I have midterms, I have a social life, I just don't have time.
Which is exactly why the source provides the 1-hour start checklist.
I love a challenge. The source claims you can build the infrastructure for this in 60 minutes. Let's time box it.
Let's do it. First 10 minutes. Choose one audience and one problem. Be hyper-specific. Freshmen in my dorm who don't know how to do laundry, or history majors who don't know how to format a Chicago-style bibliography.
Next 10 minutes. Write the 1-sentence offer. I help audience get result using deliverable. So, I help history majors get perfect citations using this Notion template.
Then the remaining 40 minutes. Implementation. Pick your order method, set up a Gumroad page or a Stripe link. Create a Google Drive folder where the file will actually live.
That's it?
That's the plumbing. In 1 hour, you have a business that can legally accept money. The rest is just creating the content and sending the DMs.
The source also briefly mentions a bundle concept called the social made engine. What's the insight there?
It's about fighting decision fatigue. If you are selling a service like social media management for campus clubs, don't just say, I do social media, bundle it.
Like it tangible?
Exactly. Say, I provide 10 templates and 5 caption prompts a week. It uses templates to speed up your own work so you aren't starting from scratch every time, and it makes the product incredibly tangible for the buyer.
Smart. Productize the service. Now, before we wrap up, there is one little administrative note the source mentions that we really have to touch on. It's the boring adult stuff.
Yes, taxes. We mentioned it briefly with Gumroad, but it definitely bears repeating. Income from a side hustle is taxable. Even if you don't get a formal tax form because you only made a few $100s, you are legally required to report that income in most jurisdictions.
And so I can't just hide the Venmo transactions and pretend it didn't happen.
I mean, you can, but it's literally tax evasion. Just keep a simple spreadsheet. Date, product, amount. Don't be scared of it. Just be aware of it. Success brings paperwork.
Good advice. Future you will definitely present you for that spreadsheet. Okay, we have covered a lot today. We moved from the crushing weight of analysis paralysis to the freedom of the 3 O's.
And hopefully we realized that the barrier to entry isn't money or a degree or some mysterious business instinct. It's simply the willingness to simplify.
So here is your immediate next step. I want you to pick your audience and your problem. And I want you to send 5 DMs asking about it today, not tomorrow. Today.
Just ask the question, what is the hardest part about X? See what happens.
And remember, if you want a roadmap to hold your hand through this, because we all know listening is way easier than doing, download the free E10-step guide in the description. It's explicitly designed to help you monetize in 70 to 90 days. We want you to succeed.
Absolutely.
Welcome to the college CEO journey. It starts with that first DM.
You know, if I can leave the listener with one final thought, we talk a lot about planning. And sure, in a stable environment, planning correlates with better outcomes. But in high uncertainty, like starting a new business planning is often just guessing disguised as work. The real question isn't, is my plan good enough? The question is, are you willing to trade the comfort of planning for the discomfort of asking a real person for money? Because that moment, that ask, is the only moment a business actually becomes real.
Mic drop. Thanks for listening, guys. Go send those DMs.